All right, there we go. Techno, I love it. You guys have probably missed it because it's been a couple weeks since you've seen our awesome intro with me taking 10 years to get everybody's mic unmuted. But welcome back, Crypto Heads. We missed you. We've been off the last 2 weeks for the holidays. Holidays were wonderful. Last couple of days, not so great. But we're here to have some fun tonight. Denise, how are you doing? How were your holidays?
The holidays were fantastic. It was very nice to not do homeschooling for one, and just, not have to worry about anything. It was really good.
Yeah. I enjoyed actually being home with the family.
Yeah.
And I didn't miss the running around and we had the Zoom calls with everybody, but I was able to stay in my pajamas pretty much all week. So
right.
What about you, man? Mike, how you been doing?
Fine, how are you?
That's all you got, man. How were your holidays? You smart ass.
It's good. It's good. Had good holidays. I got some liquor right here.
Oh yeah.
Quit smoking though. I'm just trying to quit smoking so much during the show.
Well, start slow, man.
Right.
Oh no, I'm not trying to quit.
Oh, okay.
That's where I don't have to go outside in the cold. And
no one likes a quitter anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, quitting's for losers, man.
I don't even use AA batteries.
But yeah. Yeah, so my holiday was good. I mean, like I said, it was great being at home and not having to worry about the chaos but I'm ready to get back going. It's the new year. I'm ready to get out of the house now. I'm starting to feel the cabin fever again. It's creeping up on me. The adventures need to start soon. But yeah. And we got special guest, Mr. Down there, Mr. Jeff Belanger. Hey, buddy, how you doing? He gets me. He gets me.
I do get you, dude.
He's the only one.
We had the pleasure of meeting the first time a couple of years ago at the Kent Paranormal Weekend.
Yes,
a fun little event here right down the street here in Kent, Ohio. Jeff, amazing storyteller, just an amazing guy to listen to. Has a ton of amazing knowledge, and I honestly you're like, hey, maybe. He has a lot of awesome stories to tell. I enjoyed his lecture, like 100%. Love the coffee mug.
Oh, that's not coffee. That's bourbon.
Oh,
nice.
That's fine.
Even better.
Drink it up, my friend.
Yeah. Mine too.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Guys.
I think I have 151 in the house, though, but I'm not allowed to touch that.
I gotcha.
Probably for the best.
Ray knows what happens. I passed out once. He had to carry me in the house.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was not. I think that was the first night I ever met you, actually.
Yeah.
And it was partially my fault because we were doing flaming Dr. Peppers.
I have a plastic shot glass.
Yeah, but that wasn't the best idea.
And then I chugged the bottle, and that's what was the problem.
Oh, good times, good times. But yeah, back to Jeff. Mr. Jeff is here in the house. Couldn't think of a better way to start the new year and the show back up after the holidays and have an amazing guest.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for coming on. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. So why don't you just start telling us about you? Like, we all know that you're in the paranormal, research, like broad spectrum. It's not just ghosts. I think you're into all types of paranormal subjects.
Yeah.
What got you into this? What was your origin story?
I wanted to meet you. And I'm like, if I get famous enough, if I get prominent enough, I'll get to speak at events and meet the goos. And I'll be damn, it worked. Why I keep doing it, I don't know. I don't know. I think like a lot of us, I was fascinated as a kid. My dad and I used to watch, all those In Search Of and all those those shows. And growing up in New England, I had friends that had haunted houses. They said their homes were haunted. And then I lived in the town. I grew up in the town next to Ed and Lorraine Warren. So I knew them since I was 12 years old. And
awesome.
yeah, I mean, you'd see Lorraine at our church and in the grocery store.
Wow.
And so I knew them since I was young and would see their programs. And I'm sure that had a bit of an influence, and
a little bit.
When I started writing for newspapers, I got to interview them. Met John Zaffis when he had all his hair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not to date myself, but a full head of hair, hippie, and so, I just sort of grew up around it and was fascinated, but also had a UFO encounter when I was about the same age, about 13. And, and then once you start getting into this stuff, for me anyway, ghosts were certainly my first love. But once you start to go down the rabbit hole, I mean, why stop halfway? Exactly. Go in just a little, let's keep going. Because it really intrigued me how, and you know what it started with? It started with old hag syndrome, So if you talk to like a ghost person, old hag syndrome is a spectral attack. You're asleep. You wake up, you're paralyzed, you see some apparition coming toward you, and suddenly you can't move and you're very scared, but then it's all over or whatever. Yeah. And then I heard an exact same description by someone who's really into aliens and UFOs, saying that's a gray alien. And someone who's religious saying that's an incubus or a succubus. And someone who's a total skeptic saying that's temporary sleep paralysis combined with a hypnagogic hallucination. And and I went, wow, everybody just described the same exact thing and interpreted it radically different ways, And I thought that's really interesting. And each of them believe they're correct. Because especially if you're the one that went through the experience. So at that point, you got to say like, well, shoot, man, let's just throw it all on the table and start looking at everything. Let's look at UFOs. Let's look at cryptids. Let's look at what I love about it is that it's all the fringe, but it's also asking the biggest questions that humans have ever asked, what happens after we die? And what are all the animals on the earth with us? What are all the creatures on the earth with us? We don't know them all yet. Are we alone in the universe? Those are the three biggest I can think of. And when we explore the paranormal, we get to ask those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good point. It's amazing because like you said, I've been broadening my spectrum. It started out with ghosts because of, like you said, the old hag syndrome. Almost the exact scenario that you described is how I started with this.
Well, so think about it. Ghosts are the most relatable, right? Because we're assuming that they're people or we're people or whatever, right? And it's a connection. And it's something if we're human, if they're human or we're human, then we should be able to communicate. Whereas like a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch or a lake monster, it's a creature that's not our species. It's interesting. I'd like to know about it. I'd like to see one. And then aliens, dude, you're so advanced that if you don't want me to see you, I probably won't. Right?
Yeah.
So ghosts, I think, are the most relatable, and we're all heading to that black horizon up ahead. We're all fellow travelers to the grave, and we're all gonna become one in some way or another.
Right.
And so I think it sort of makes sense. I get it. It's the closest to us.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And as I've been like kind of diving into other aspects of the paranormal, like cryptozoology, Bigfoot, the existence. You're getting starting to hear a lot of theories about those worlds combining. Like, is Bigfoot an alien creature?
Right.
Or is Bigfoot something spiritual? And it's like, it's weird how it all kind of meshes together.
Want me to do you one better?
Yeah.
Here's my crazy idea. It's insane, but it's no more insane, I think, than anything else. The one thing that all these paranormal topics have in common, I believe, the one thread that goes through all of them could be time. Okay. And so ghost, that's easy. That was us 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like that's pretty easy. Could Bigfoot have been us 500,000 years ago or 1 million years ago?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And could aliens, like, why on earth are the aliens, every depiction, do they look so human? They have heads, arms, legs, fingers. I mean, if we keep going like we're going, we don't need strong muscles anymore. Machines do everything. So we're going to get scrawnier. Our heads are going to get bigger. Our skin's going to get dark and gray because we're ripping apart the ozone and we need to protect ourselves. So could that be us 1 million years from now? because why would an alien care to come here?
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, we've got the best pizza in the galaxy. That I know. That hands down, no question.
Yeah.
No question. There's none better. But our cable sucks. There's not a lot of good shows on, you know,
Yeah,
like
not really.
and so why would aliens come all the way here? Who would have a vested interest in us more than us in the future? And so I wonder if, like, you know, and if you subscribe to the multiverse theory, and I hope you guys are drinking or doing hallucinogenics or something. If you subscribe to the multiverse, the idea that it's not one universe but multiple, then maybe, you know, us a million years in the future is a bubble, and us a million years in the past is a bubble, and these bubbles hit and meld for a minute and then pull apart. Maybe, right? The idea that all of it is just sort of like floating around, and it's just us on different paths. Yeah. And I came to this because I'm also a time travel nerd. Like I love time travel, and I love the thought experiments and the paradoxes of them, right? Yeah. So if you go back in time and kill your grandfather before he has children, right? It's the oldest one. Yeah. What happens? And you either say time travel is impossible because you can't do that, right. Or if you subscribe to the multiverse, you would say actually it's absolutely fine. Other than you've got issues. You kill your grandfather, and then the universe splits, and it's splitting all the time. It's just another split. There's the universe you were never born, and there's the universe where your grandfather wasn't killed and had kids, and you were born, and it's all fine. And so I love that. I love the idea that, you know, just maybe this is more like time space related as opposed to Little Green Man on Mars or you know, ghosts or you know, Sasquatch or lake monsters, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
That's a mind blowing
time travel. I'm not going to take credit for it because it was a friend of mine's husband. So, like time travel, you can't go too far in the future. You can't go too far in the past because you're carrying the diseases of what we have now back, or you're bringing something back that we, you know, tried to eradicate at one point.
Unless you believe in fate. In which case, if I go 100 years into the future and carry some disease like COVID that had been all but eradicated, then it was meant to be. And I was just fulfilling fate. And so if you believe in a singular timeline, chances are time travel is not for you because you can't go kill your grandfather. You have to, at that point, believe in the multiverse and believe that in that version of the future, you were meant to carry. And then you get into, like, you know, free will, and it's just we're going to need like stronger drugs if we're going to keep going. But here's my favorite one, because I write books too, and so I always thought this was a neat one. If, let's say, I invent a time machine and I go 5 years into the future, just 5, and I go into the bookstore and I find there's a bestseller. I mean, this thing outsold Harry Potter. I mean, mega millions sold. And I buy the book and I get back into my time machine and I come 5 years back to present day and I hand the book to me. And I go, ooh, thank you. And then I go down and I type the book over word for word, type every word, copy it, send it to my agent who says, this is amazing. I'm like, I know, right? Amazing. Submits it to a publisher, sells it. I make millions and millions and millions of dollars, and it sells millions and millions of copies. Who wrote the book?
I gotcha.
I know. I know, it hurts, right?
Yeah.
I didn't write it. I stole it. But the person who wrote it didn't think of it yet. Didn't write it yet.
Right.
So they didn't write it.
Yeah.
And you know for a fact you didn't steal it from yourself. Like, you didn't just pick up your own book. So
yeah, I stole the bestseller written by Goose, who hadn't thought of the book yet.
Yeah.
And I just copied it word for word and put it out there under my name, stole it, completely plagiarized, and ouch, right?
You don't want a book from him. You don't want to ruin your career.
No, I know. It sells, you know?
Well,
I'm sure it's a child's book. It's probably horribly written.
Goose does alphabet.
So I love those quandaries where you're like, oh, ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point you're like, okay, I believe in the multiverse. It's the only explanation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I believe in the multiverse just because I read comic books, and it's got to be.
I was going to say the multiverse is the only thing you understand because of Marvel.
Right. DC dives into it pretty hardcore too, but I'd never really thought of it from the paranormal aspect or just like what we daily life. I mean, that is like, whoa, mind blowing.
Rick and Morty dives into it too, don't they?
What's that?
Rick and Morty.
I've never seen an episode of Rick and Morty. I'm sorry.
Dude, you gotta watch it.
I'm a horrible person.
No, you'll be okay. So the thing is, we already know that time space can bend, right? I mean, we've proved it. Like these ripples, right? It's like a pond. So if a pond is really still and you throw a big rock at one end, if you're close to it, the ripples are huge. If you're way at the other end, they're little teeny tiny things. But that's time and space bending. And so the speed of light isn't constant. There's all kinds of theories to suggest. I mean, if you're close enough to that rock dropping in the pond, then that wave could crash, you know, in either direction, and you're going to see the past, the future, whatever. Yeah. And we don't know. I mean, all we need is some cosmic event, some black holes. It's sort of nearby, and who knows what'll happen to us? Yeah. Maybe it already happened. So maybe it happened yesterday.
So do certain people ripple the time themselves? Is that why certain people can see spirits and certain people can't, and certain people seem to close it off and nothing happens?
You're talking about like heavier people affecting time space as opposed to thinner people? Because I don't want to fat
I'm so empathic.
Like, what's the maximum weight capacity on the time ripple? That's
we're not fat shaming anybody. No, I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I do know this. Like, some people can't walk under power lines, like high tension power lines. They're too sensitive to electromagnetic energy. It gives them headaches. Right. It can cause problems. So why not? Some people, there's subtle energies around us all the time. There's a million text messages going around our heads right this second. You know, there's radio waves, TV waves, FAA, police band, you know, shortwave, X-ray, everything is going around us. Yeah. And of course, we're animals. We're built to tune into you know, subtle energies to protect ourselves in the environment. And so it totally makes sense to me that some people would be more sensitive to some of them than others. Yeah. And it's so noisy. Like, it's so noisy out there. It's never been this noisy. You know, we've never had this much technology, this much stuff going around our heads all the time in all of human history. And so it's a really crazy time we live in. I think it's amazing. And so what I love about the paranormal, if we can have a discussion in a good way, what I love about it is, like, I mean, I know you guys have all been to tons of paranormal events and things like that and had discussions. Dude, don't you wish you could get all the senators and Congress people and like all of them to a paranormal conference and be like, look, we can debate and then just drink at the bar. Right. Look at, there's no fist fights. No one's burned any buildings. No one's broken into any like state capitals. Right. And we just argue about it and then laugh or don't laugh. Maybe we get a little pissed off, but then we go to the bar. It's okay. And yet because we're weirdos, because we're talking about like lunatic fringe stuff, we're not taken seriously, but they could all learn a lesson in civility from us.
Yeah, I agree.
My people, time to leave. Rise up.
Yeah, that's what I love about the paranormal world in general, is that there's so many people from so many different backgrounds, so many different education levels, you know, and everybody can sit there on the back porch of a haunted building and just have a good conversation, and nobody's I'm better than you, you know. We all have the same experiences. That's it.
You're totally right.
So nice.
And I've met people from every walk of life at these things, you know, like, I love it. You know, sometimes people give me their business card and I'm like, I guess if I need, you know, Dunder Mifflin paper next time I'm in Scranton, I will totally call you. But it's just cool. Like, I appreciate the fact that people want to connect, but I was at one event and there was this guy, like, he was with his girlfriend and he's like, had the time of his life all weekend. And by the end, he goes, hey man, let me just give you my card. And I know you probably get cards. I'm like, yeah, sure. I look at it, United States Secret Service. I'm like, I'll save this one. Yep. Thank you.
It's like a get out of jail free card or what?
I gotta believe parking tickets are well below your pay grade, but whatever. That's what I'm gonna say. But like, this is just a guy who's just, I mean, you know, in Secret Services, it doesn't mean you're necessarily protecting it. It's a wide, big organization. However, I love that, like, I've met Secret Service people at these events. I've met like accountants and computer programmers and doctors and lawyers and everybody in between. And it's just this calls to some of us, you know, and everybody sort of, I mean, who doesn't, if you don't want to believe in the actual stuff behind it, can you at least believe in the story? Right? Like believe in and share and love the story. And that's to me, like the more I've been doing this, the more I've been thinking like the story is the thing I first fell in love with. And then I started buying all this gear and stuff. Gear I don't use anymore, by the way.
I'm with you.
But like I had all these like things and gadgets and boo, and I'm going around and I'm just like, I know how to find a ghost. I'll use this laser pointer and I'll be like, ooh, there it is right there. You know? And so suddenly I was just like, wait a minute. The story is what I love. The human experience is what intrigues me. And then from there, if you want to take it to an investigative level, do it. Go for it. If you want to sit all night with thermal cameras, hey man, do it. It's not my idea of a good time anymore. Right? I just want to go there. I want to talk to the people that had the experience. I want to be in the place that it happened. I want to understand everything that took place in that location and tell the story, because the story is the thing that we can't argue.
Right.
You know, like that's, hey, this place, the building here has a haunted reputation. The one right next door does not. Why? Why? Something must have happened. Something along the way. This building is like got something to it and the next one doesn't. And like, to me, that's just cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like to hear the stories, even though they might be skeptical. I think they like to hear them.
Of course. And think about it. Any paranormal show you've ever seen, I mean, from like the 1950s till last night, right? Every one of them is chasing a story first. Always. Right? No ghost hunter show, ghost adventure, none of them. None of them ever said like, hey, we're being truly scientific. So here's a Walmart that was put up 3 months ago on land that was a swamp where no one has ever lived or done anything. We're going to go investigate. Right? Because that would be boring. That would be like totally lame. And we know it. And no one wants to watch it. And no one wants to do it. But if you're like, oh, here's an old Civil War hospital that still looks like it did back then, and you can still see blood stains soaked into the wood of the floor. Ooh,
that's a good time.
I'm in. Let's do that. You know? And that's just more exciting. Of course it is. It's the context of the story. And I've always said, like, when you need to know how to tell the story, because it's like if you go to see a play in a theater and no one told, they're just like, hey, you're going to a play tonight. Okay. And the curtain opens and everything's black and all the actors come out dressed completely in black and they just start acting. And you're going, where are we? Like, is it the future? Is it the past? Is this 5 years ago, 100 years ago? And you're trying your best. You need the context, even if it's a simple set. Oh, I get it. I'm in a city apartment and it looks a little old timey. So it's probably the 1950s. Like, we need to set the stage. And so when people say, like, I don't like to do the research before going there, I don't understand it. I'm like, do you like to see plays when you don't have a set? You know?
I'm the same way. Or like, I'll go to a location and they'll be like, do you want a tour? I'm like, why would I not want a tour? Like, that's 90% of why I'm here, is I want to learn about the location.
Yeah, of course. Totally.
Yeah. I'm a tour guide at Madison Seminary.
Okay.
And I've been doing it 2.5 years and I still, like, it's totally nerdy, but like I walk through the hallways sometimes and I'm just like, just imagining all the people that were there, you know, through all of the history. I mean, it started in 1847, like from 1847 until I am walking down this hallway right now. There are so many stories to be told, you know, and that's the part that got me sucked in. And then the paranormal just comes with it because you can't ignore it. But I agree with you. I am 100% for the stories at every location. I want to know all of them.
Yeah. And the reason we go to, what's that? Go ahead.
But now she's part of the story too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. No, you could say it. Go ahead. Take it.
So our special guest tonight is Heisenberg.
No, but it's true. Like, so the reality is when you hear about a place that's haunted, or you hear there's a UFO hotspot or a place where cryptids are, and something inside of you may not totally believe it, but part of you is like, maybe there's something in there that sounds a little bit like it could be true. And enough that you go there and you go to Madison Seminary and you're like, I don't really necessarily believe in this, but I'm willing to look. And the second you cross the threshold, you become part of the story. You write your own chapter into the book of that location. And you might go through and you'll be like, I took the whole tour. I looked around. I didn't hear anything, didn't feel anything, didn't see anything. Therefore, boom, not haunted.
Not haunted.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to this hill. Lightning didn't strike. Therefore, there's no such thing as lightning.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone said they were struck by lightning here 20 years ago. And I went to that hill just this morning. In fact, it wasn't even cloudy. No lightning at all. Right. It was like,
I love that.
yeah, it's so okay. Yeah. But you do understand lightning does strike quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just sorry you didn't see it. And so, but then other people go and they're like, I don't believe in it. And then they have an experience. And then they go, holy crap, lightning struck. I saw it. Right. I was there. And then they tell others. And then the legend grows.
Yeah. I know. We'll have people, there's 25 people on a flashlight tour, and it's a quick, it's a historical tour. So it's an hour long. We're talking, the tour guide's talking the whole time, whatever. And, they'll be like, nothing even happened. I'm like, there could have been footsteps right next to you. You think you're going to hear it when there's 25 people and we're all talking? Like,
you're all jumping out at each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's that not haunted stamp. Like, nothing even happened. Well,
Goose,
it was a tour.
No, I know, but the problem is that like the TV shows have ruined all of us, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're just like, and I get it. And hey, I'm a party to it, right? So like, they're like, I've been here for 7 minutes. We're supposed to have something weird happen, and then we go to commercial. I know how this works, right? Like it cliffhangs on what was that, and then we explore it, and 7 minutes later, I get it.
Yeah.
So no, it's tricky stuff. Goose, remember we did the investigation of that theater in Kent?
Yeah, Kent Stage. Yep.
Yeah, Kent Stage. And so, and I love it, right? Like I love the way people express the way they want to do it. Some people are like, they've got dowsing rods and that's them. And that's cool. Like whatever. I mean, but then people like leave their audio recorders unattended.
Yeah.
And if you do that near me, you will get an EPP. A plus, like the clearest you've ever heard. Because I can't not do it. I've tried.
Right. Yeah.
I've been like, oh, I don't want to mess with someone's experience. There's this like audio recorder just sitting there. I'm like, no, I really shouldn't. And then I'm like, listen to the New England Legends podcast. Download it on Apple or Google, wherever you get your podcast. Then I run away.
Well, it's important to run.
You.
Yeah.
And in review, they're like, "Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Listen.
There's a commercial on my."
There's a plug for some podcast on my audio recorder, and sounds like Goo's laughing behind it. Like,
yeah, I would have been able to do it. Just be quiet about that. That's hilarious.
No. So, but that's the thing, right? And everybody's like trying to express themselves in different ways, and that's what's so funny for me when I'm doing them, because like I feel a lot of pressure when I'm asked to like lead a group, which is so funny because I'm like, lead them where? To White Castle? I can do that. Like, right?
You can lead them in song.
I can, we can do a song. We can totally do a song. But so, you're there and you want something to happen. You want people to have an experience, because sometimes they look at you, they're like, nothing's happening. Right. And then I'm like, I'm totally willing to do a human sacrifice, but it can't be me.
Right. I'm the leader. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working. I gotta be here. So like one of you. And often people don't step forward, and that usually shuts them up. That's one of my go-to lines. If you ever need it, you can have that, Denise. If someone's like their flashlight, if they're like nothing's happening, be like, I got okay, all right.
Just carry a pocket knife.
Yeah. Who wants to do the blood sacrifice? You signed the waiver. You didn't read it.
I did. Nope.
Didn't read it.
Yeah, it is hard. We've talked about that on the show before. Because, people do watch the shows and they take, a couple days worth of investigation. They cram it into 42 minutes for TV, and 7 of it is actual investigation, but the rest of it is history and interviews and whatever. So people go into a place expecting it to be like nonstop, like it is in the shows, because they took all of those days and put it into one thing. So people will walk into the building and they're like, can you slam that door? Can you move that chair? Can you push that wheelchair? Can you pull my hair? Can you scratch my arm? Like, and that quickly too. They don't even like there's no pause. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to do the human sacrifice trick. I'm going to see if they, maybe we'll try that, guys. They do that on every show, right?
Oh God, yeah. Before we go in, we do the sacrifice just to get it started. You don't show it because that's a snuff film, and that would get us arrested. But yeah,
that's like while you're filming B-roll, right? You just
that's like, hey, did someone? Yeah. So if you ever see an ad in like Craigslist or something for like a production assistant, that's it. Hey,
I just assumed you guys would order pizza or something, and then
they're like, okay, I'm here. Like, great, just lay down there. Why on the plastic? There's a big sheet of plastic. Yeah, just lay on the plastic.
There.
God,
I better get lunch out of this
ghost show. It is your last. Just kidding.
Well, it just I don't know. I've heard it a couple times. I've heard the line.
You got to do what you got to do.
I know.
I mean, you're just standing there in the middle of the room, and they're all staring at you,
right?
Assuming you're going to be the one who's going to conjure all the demons. You know what I mean?
That's why you turn the lights off.
Yeah,
I can't scare you.
I brought you to the room. You guys do what you want to do.
The funny thing is, I'm like, if I could do that, you know how much more I would charge you? Like,
right?
That'd be insane. I'd be like, how much you got? Right? Like,
right?
You're going to be like remortgaging your house if I could do that on cue. Like,
shit.
I can't. I'm sorry. I don't have any magic powers.
Yeah.
We got a Robert Reed said, "Hey Jeff, you remember the awesome time at Pennhurst when we did Paranormal Challenge? Good times."
Good times. Pennhurst is one of my favorite haunts because that's like, have you guys all been there?
I need to go.
I have, yes. Yeah.
So
amazing.
Ghost Adventures was the first show they allowed in. And I remember working on it. And, I've worked for Ghost Adventures for 12 years. We've been in an asylum or two, and like I've done the research for every episode. So when we started working on it, I'm like, abandoned asylum, got it. And and then I started doing a little digging, and I was like, oh man, this is not your average abandoned asylum. There's a federal law called the Pennhurst Law. And it's about how you can and can't treat people with mental disabilities because of atrocities that took place in those buildings in the 1970s. And like that changed the law. The conditions in there were so bad. And I talked to some of the doctors, and you have to remember, like, this is like truly society's fault, right? Like they weren't monsters. There wasn't like some Caligula in there. We're talking about people who were just stretched too thin. And they didn't have enough money, and they didn't have enough staff, and they were overcrowded. And, elected people and counties and states are like, this is what you get. That's your budget. And they're like, but we have this many patients. I don't know, make it work. Right. And that's that's the disconnect between being like, I got to save money and not raise taxes. And I don't even know what it's like in your facility. I don't care. And then suddenly this expose is done where people were literally kept in dog kennels, chained to beds, like didn't have any human contact, losing the ability for speech because they didn't use, like, just if someone treated animals like this, we would lynch them. We would, and no one would apologize for it. No one would convict you for it. You just lynch them. But these are human beings. And I remember talking to one of the doctors who worked there, and he said something that chilled me to the bone. And it's more relevant today, especially given yesterday's events.
Yeah, right.
He said, the minute you think of another group of people as something less than you, that's it. There's no limit to how poorly you can treat them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And that's right. As soon as you start thinking, oh, Democrats, oh, Republicans, oh, Muslims, oh, Jewish people, Christians, whatever, anything, right? The second you say, like, I'm here and you're there, even if we're an inch apart, that's just going to divide. There's no limit whatsoever to how horrible you can treat people. And so people like us have a responsibility to tell these stories, to put them on TV, to remind folks of the atrocities we are capable of. Because there's no bottom to how horrible we can be. And if that haunts us, if that scares us, my God, there's a chance that we won't repeat in the future, or at least not as bad.
Right.
That's the hope.
And I know that's a fight, right, Denise, with Madison Seminary. They
have
were
so many people, people in town trying to say, no, that place was sunshine and rainbows all the time. No, nothing bad ever happened there. And listen, when I go there and I tell people the stories of what happened there, I'm not telling them so that, hey, maybe we should start doing that again. I'm telling them so that people understand, like, this has been done before, and we need to make sure that we never get to that place again.
Yeah. It's important. It really is. And so one of the problems, like, so when you're a historian's supposed to have no country, right? Like you're supposed to, like, just the facts are the facts. And I look at it a little differently. I kind of look at it as like, look, you can still, no one should rewrite history, right? You should look at all the good and all the bad. Just like when you're like a human being, right? Like we are all the product of not just all the good stuff that happened in our lives. Right. I would argue we are more the product of all the bad stuff that we got by, right? Yeah. All the sickness, the scars, the emotional turmoil, all the things we went through, we got stronger, we got through it. And if we were to tell the story of our own lives without telling that, that's just a lie. That's bull, like, oh, everything was great right up till now. No, it wasn't. Not for anybody. And that's
okay. That's okay. That's what people don't understand. Like, it's okay to talk about those things.
It's good. Like when you break a bone, right? When it heals, that's the strongest it'll ever be. Like that, it heals stronger than it was before. And so that's all of us. And so, so you got to tell those stories, even if they're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I know, like through Ghost Adventures and in my small role, in research and stuff like that.
That's a huge role. That's that's probably the biggest role.
But still, I like to put stuff out there where I'm just like, I want people to look in the mirror, even if you don't like entirely what you see. The reality is, like, we can't go back in the past and fix it. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And not that you should like feel guilt and horrible about things that happened in the past over and over, but you should acknowledge it, own it, and like work to not let it happen again in the present or the future. Right. That we can do. That we can do. Yeah. And so I think we have an obligation to do it. So through these stories, my God, you look at like politicians talking about, one group wants to just tell history in the most awful way about how terrible we are. The other one wants to just rewrite it and say how wonderful we are. Neither's true, right? The answer's in the middle. The answer is we're wonderful and we're terrible. Like we've done horrible things and horrible things happen. And that's how it goes, but understand it, and like with that information, how am I going to act now? Knowing what I know. And so I know for me, like it's been such a spiritual growth, a personal growth, exploring this. And that's something I didn't expect. I just wanted to go see a ghost all those years ago. Right. I'm like, let's go into the cemetery with a flashlight and see if we can see a ghost. Woohoo! Yeah. Totally straight up thrill seeking, legend tripping, like, let's do it. And then somewhere along the way, I was like, I stopped going to church. And then I was in this like haunted building at midnight, and people are like, talk to me, connect to me if you're here. And I was like, oh, I'm in church again. It's just totally different. Like, this is where I'm getting my spirituality. This is where I'm connecting with something. And instead of just watching a guy in the front raise the cup and raise the bread and say, this is the body of a guy from 2,000 years ago, and this is his blood, ew, right? Like, it's just, I'm like, no, I'm active. I'm participating in this, and I'm expressing my spirituality, and I'm asking my own questions, and I'm learning things about myself and the people around me and the world around me. And I've learned so much. And the funny thing is, like, I feel so much dumber now than I was 20 years ago. I had all the answers. If we were doing this 20 years ago, I'd be like, I would tell you every theory. I'd be like, this is what this is, and this is what that is. I know, I have the answers.
I'm an expert.
Yeah, I'm an expert. And now I'm like, I have no idea. Funny story. So, like, there's a question, like, what is a ghost, right? And I wrote a whole book, right? Like, look at all those pages. This book, right? Huh? Tell me when to stop.
And you probably still could have wrote another one too. I mean, it's so.
No, but ready? And this is horrible. I'm sorry if anyone bought it. I can break it down to one sentence. A ghost is history demanding to be remembered.
I love it.
I didn't need a book. I could have put that on a business card. And still had room for like other stuff, like listen to my podcast, New England Legends.
No, I mean seriously, we want to talk about that. We want to plug that for you as well.
Yeah, we do.
So I know you were a journalist. Do you still write, or is that you're just doing New England Legends and Ghost Adventures and that kind of thing? Or are you still writing outside of the paranormal?
Yeah. So no, well, Ghost Adventures is quite a bit of a job, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like two episodes a month.
Oh, but
it takes a lot of time.
He's just like, you just do that. That's it.
Yeah, just that. Yeah,
I didn't mean it that way. Come on.
Yeah, just that. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all you do
for you. What's it take to make you happy, Goose? God, I work and I work.
Takes too much.
Yeah, I know. God. So I do that, and then New England Legends, the podcast, is every week. Plus, we do a TV episode a couple times a year. Plus, I do lectures. I do programs where I tell these stories. So like that takes some writing. But I actually do have a book coming out in less than 2 months.
Nice.
Want to see it?
Yes.
I just got my first copy. Ready?
Yeah. Pull that up. Hold on.
Ooh.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Very cool.
Very cool.
It's backwards. Wait.
Yep, I got it. The Call of Kilimanjaro.
There you go.
Oh.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah. Anyway, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro back in 2017, and it was like the most life-changing spiritual thing I ever went through. And it took me like a year and a half to even write about it. And then you know, so it comes out and it's done. I just got my first copies, and it comes out in less than 2 months. So so I'm excited about that. And yeah, so yeah, I'm still writing books. And but to me, it's funny, like spirituality became such a big part of that journey. That and that's something I didn't expect. I mean, I'm not surprised, especially in hindsight. But I was just like, I just want to climb a really big mountain in Africa, you know, and have this experience I can brag about and stuff. But like as I was doing it, I was like, holy cow, I'm totally changing everything, you know, who I am. Like, and I felt it. I felt it happening in real time. It was amazing. And
awesome.
And it's a story I just wanted to tell. But what's scary is, like, you know, my ghost books, if you write a review on Amazon that says this sucks, I hate it, I'm like, well, whatever. Like maybe you know, you want more sensational and we just didn't click. Fine. I can live with that. I'm not going to lose any sleep. If you hate this book, it's going to hurt bad. Cause like, this is me naked. Like, you know, like, so yeah.
I'm sure.
I could see where it'd be a little bit more sensitive subject if it's something from the heart like that really spiritually changed you.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, and it's a memoir, right? It's not about like my research. It's about me. It's about like everything I went through. And so, yeah. Anyway, very excited about it.
So, how did the New England Legends podcast start?
Well, it started as a TV show. Back in 2013, I had worked on a project with a friend at PBS called Things That Go Bump in the Night, Tales of Haunted New England. And through working on that, we discovered we were born in the same exact hospital in this little town in Massachusetts, like a couple months apart. And
that's awesome.
That's so funny. And my parents knew like people in his family in the same town and stuff. And so so we said, man, we should do like a series. And so we went to PBS and tried to get money. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever watched PBS. I mean, even for a minute, like just in fact, wherever you are, everybody right now, put on PBS. There's like a 9 out of 10 chance someone right now is going, so we really need your help.
Yeah.
Right now, just call the number and donate and it'll be great. And so they beg for money, literally. And here we are going, hey, give us a little money to do this. And they're like, we think it's a great idea. We have no money. And so Tony Dunn and I looked at each other and we said, well, let's just do it anyway. We'll just beg, borrow, and steal, ask our talented friends to help. And so we did it. And we put out 2 episodes that first year. And one of them got nominated for an Emmy.
Ooh.
I know, right?
That's
like,
awesome.
I mean, if you didn't know me better, you'd be impressed. Right? Like if we just met, you'd be like, dang, right? And so we kept doing it and we self-funded it and we just like printed DVDs and sold them for like $10 and it was just enough to like pay for it. We didn't make money, but we weren't quite losing. It was just a total wash. And then we kept making them, and I had such a there's so many stories in New England of weirdness, and I was like, doing 1 or 2 episodes a year just isn't enough. And so I came up with kind of like this podcast formula. My partner Ray Osier is the morning guy at the local radio station, so we've got a really great radio studio that we can use anytime. And I was like, let's just explore these stories and tell them. And the number one thing that'll ruin a podcast, right, is what? Everybody say it. 3, 2, 1. Yes. Right. Yes. They kill them. Right. You get a good one and it's great. You get a bad one. You're like, oh. And a host can only do so much. So I was like, okay, how do I remove these wild card variables? I'm like, I know. We'll script them. We'll use sound effects and voice actors and just like no guests. Woohoo. And so we just started telling stories and how do we tell them? And so every week I'm like, how can we tell this story? And the whole idea is what I love about it. The formula, the secret sauce is that I want to know how we got to right now. So if you say that building's haunted, that's where we start. The building's haunted. To figure it out, we're going to go back in time to 1840 when it was built and see what happened here. And then we bring in the voice actors and we set the stage and we go through that time and we see the event and we learn about what really happened. And then we come back to present day and go, oh, there it is. That's our ghost. That's how it came to be. Yeah. And it's just been super fun. And we've built like this whole community of people. We've got an app, a free app where people can have a map to all the various legends we've covered and how to get there. And we've got a Facebook group of people, like thousands of people now sharing their weird stories. And it's like this really cool community of people that just love this weirdness. And it's crowdsourced. This is the best part, is like the work is so much easier now because people are emailing all the time. Like, what about this weird story in this little town that I grew up in? I'm like, thank you.
Right.
That's our next one. So yeah, it's just been cool to just be like, part of this like growing family of weird legend hunters in New England.
Yeah.
That's so
cool.
And
New England seems amazing. It's a place that I need to get to. It's on the Goose bucket list of
the whole area
exploration.
So
the whole area.
Think about it. We're like America's creepy attic, way up here in the corner where you keep all the dark secrets.
Yeah, but there's so much history out there, and I've listened to your podcast, and the stories are amazing. Yeah, it's been. I've talked to other people before about going out there, and we're actually heading out to Maine. I think it's next June.
Yeah,
hoping to make a couple pit stops just to sightsee and see a couple things on the way. Yeah,
no, Maine's awesome. What are you going to go see in Maine? You're going to go to Stephen
We're going to
be a weird stalker.
We are getting a cabin off of Bar Harbor.
Yeah, Bar Harbor. Yeah, sure.
Bar Harbor. Yeah,
Bar Harbor. In Bar Harbor, you can get, no joke, because I've had it, lobster flavored ice cream.
Oh.
And if you're thinking that doesn't sound so good, you're right. And I'm a guy who likes lobster a lot.
Yeah,
not ice cream.
And I'm not the big seafood guy. I hope they have some steak at these joints.
You'll be fine. You're not the first. You're not the first to come to Bar Harbor and have this abundance of amazing seafood and say, "Get me a hamburger, my good man."
Hamburger and pomme de fruit, please.
Yeah, they'll know. They'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Ray Lee said, "For myself in Canada, New England is the creepy basement."
That's right. Ray's up there in Newfoundland.
Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay.
A friend of ours. Go ahead.
Goose, when you first met me, were you like, what a jerk?
Why would anyone say
No,
that?
Absolutely not.
No. Come on.
No,
that place served beer, remember?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good beer, too. Like, it wasn't like, I mean, it was.
Well, I mean, they turned it into like a rock and roll place. I mean, the theater, they had a lot of local bands, but they had a lot of legendary kind of like solo artists who were, in the past part of bigger bands.
Yep.
It was a really cool place. And unfortunately, the COVID things shut them down. But, yeah, that was a really cool place. But no, when I first met you, I honestly didn't know what to think. I mean, it was kind of like my first experience lecturing anywhere. I just happened to be a part of that
That's scary,
event.
right?
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. But luckily she gave me a direction. So so it was I had the spreadsheet thing on the thing to follow along, and I'm just clicking through watching that instead of the audience. It was just, but and you helped me out too, because I remember they had like all Apple set up, and obviously we come in with Microsoft and our HPs, and they're like, well, we can't, you have a connector. I'm like, no, I can't show my PowerPoint presentation. What am I going to do? I'm freaking out. And you're like, dude, just calm down. You find the adapter, and
I travel with it. I have every adapter because, like, that's funny, man. I know how much work it is, and you're like, oh my god, I'm one wire away from being able to do what I need to do. Yeah. No,
I thought you're entertaining, and honestly, I felt like a guy that I could be buddies with and go out drinking with, and
Wait a minute.
What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I guess I'm going to Ohio.
Right?
There you go. No, but seriously, I've never, when I started going to those events, seeing people that I've seen on TV or podcasts or whatever, it was intimidating.
That's funny. I don't know. So public speaking though, so that was your first public speaking gig?
Yeah, it was.
So I get it's like the number one fear for a lot of people. And it's actually if all I could do is just be in front of a live audience, that's all I would do. I wouldn't do anything else. Because there's a magic that happens. And also, I mean, I play guitar and like I think about bands you've seen, right? Is there any band you've seen like multiple times?
Oh yeah,
the same band. And you know how sometimes they rock your world. You're like, what a show! And then other times you're like, that's not. And there's a magical thing that happens in a live setting, right? Where you're sharing stories, whether it's musically or a play or talking about ghosts. And there's an exchange with the audience, and I love that. And that's the thing that's killed me the most about COVID is that I've had to try to get that. It's like I'm a crack addict, and all I can have is like Coca-Cola now. I got to get all that from this little dot. I got to be like, I hope it's working. It's tough. It's tough, but at the same time, like, we need those connections, right? And so these live streams help because people need connections. And we can't all go to the bar anymore and just talk to people. Like we got to get it this way. And so let's just make it work until we can get back in person.
Right. We always say we're so thankful that this happened now and not like in the 80s. We'd all be like just sitting in our houses, like not able to do this. And it would be so hard. Yeah.
We'd be playing Atari and getting like Atari thumb.
Let me get you on the high 8, and then we'll snail mail it to your grandma.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The 80s had those big ones.
Oh yeah,
the
big VHS. That's funny.
I have downstairs. It's the Atari joystick, but it has like all the games in it.
I have it too.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
It's like $25, right?
Yeah.
And you just plug it into your TV. And my daughter, who's 13, I also have an Xbox, if I'm being honest, right? And I'm like, hey, this is what I used to do when I was your age. And I plug it in, and she's like, okay, I'll do throwback. This is cool. And like Space Invaders, right?
Yeah.
Bloop.
Yeah.
This is so lame. And I'm like, kind of is. It kind of is. Let's put on Call of Duty. Let's play Call of Duty.
I bought my kids the Nintendo one.
That's the one I want.
I'm not gonna lie, but I bought the Nintendo one and told my kids it was for them. And I sit down. I'm like, all right, you guys ready to get your ass kicked in some Super Mario Brothers? Like, you think you're good at video games? Just wait, because we're playing real video games now.
Yeah.
Tecmo Bowl. That's right.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Those things are so cool.
Yeah. No,
Jeremy Rice for the win every time.
Right.
It's like our entire childhood in one little thing for $29.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We had 8 bits and imagination, kids.
Right?
We had.
Showed my kids Pac-Man for the first time, and they're like, "This is fun."
Yeah. Like, what do you do now?
God.
What?
Yeah. You're being chased by ghosts. Come on.
Come on.
Right. And you can eat them. You can eat them.
Yes. As long as you eat Powerball and they're blue, you can eat them. Otherwise, they eat you.
They don't
so stupid, man.
No wonder that you were ghost hunting before there was ghost hunting. You were like,
Yeah.
yeah. Remember lining up your quarters like in the on the game at the roller rink? Dude, I was something at the roller rink, man.
For us, it was the pizza place because where I grew up, that was the only place you could go to play any games. They had like a little bar version of it where you sit your drink down and you're playing on the table.
Yeah.
The screen is the table. Yeah. That's what we grew up with.
Our mall had a whole arcade. I mean, it was small, but you know, you don't see those anymore. You know, you walked in the mall, there was like every game that you could think of when you were a kid.
Oh yeah.
That's where your parents, that's where your mom dropped you off while she shopped. Like here's $5 and I'll be back in 2 hours.
Right.
And that's
it was
where
the best day of your life.
Yeah. That was the babysitting area.
Yeah.
Totally.
Those poor teenagers, they had to watch us.
Boy, I feel old. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
What else can we talk about that'll make us feel old?
Yeah.
So how about Cobra Kai?
I didn't watch it. I know Ralph Macchio, much respect and all that. And I know when you see this thing, like it's about to get real, but like, yeah, I didn't watch it. I didn't see that one. I'm sorry. You know what? My brush with greatness for 2020 was Tiger King.
Oh
yeah.
So not only did I get totally sucked into that show, but Ghost Adventures got to film our Halloween special at the Tiger King Zoo.
Nice.
And so working on it, I got to talk to all those dudes on the phone, like to prep for it, to get their ghost stories and stuff. And I mean, I really don't get starstruck. I kind of grew up around celebrity and stuff. And so only once did I ever get starstruck. One person at one time, Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, nice.
I'm human, right? I'm human. Right?
Yeah.
When you're in the presence of a god, Denise, you tremble. You tremble. You tremble, you supplicate, you get down, and you just woo, right?
A god is an accordion.
Yeah, that's a god. That's a deity on earth. So anyway, so I'm talking to these guys, and I was like, "Oh my god, these are the guys that have been on my TV all spring," you know. And it was just so funny to be like talking to Jeff Lowe, and he's the guy that took it over, and I was like, I'm gonna guess that you can't even like go out to eat anymore. And he's like, I can't. He's like, no, we go to the restaurant and people just inundate us and they want pictures and autographs. And I'm like, dang. And then some of those other folks that work there, I'm like, you are like world renowned famous, yet absolutely not rich. You know what I mean? Like you can't go to the Walmart and yet you also can't afford to go anywhere else. Right?
At least if you're rich and famous, it's like, you know, it's kind of worth it. It's you know, it's a give and take. But if you're just famous,
that's it. Yeah. No, it was really surreal to talk to them. But at the same time, they had some crazy ghost stories. A lot of it related to Travis, the kid that shot himself in the that we all saw. You know, we all saw that happen. And boy, they all liked. Everybody spoke so highly of Travis. They're like, that kid was just the most fun. He kept this place like it was a fun place to be because of him. They just had such nice things to say about him. And you could I mean, one of the women who worked there was crying. I just miss him so much. And like you could tell, like it really left a hole in their hearts and their family. And I think one of the things when it comes to ghosts, if you want to talk about ghosts and paranormal again, or if you want to just stick to 1980s crap, I don't know.
Whatever.
We usually do it around the second hour anyways.
All right. So anyway, so I think one of the things that happens is that for me, one of the biggest roles that we play in a haunting is we summon these spirits. And I'm not talking about in some gypsy woo-woo, like, you know, I think when you are in a place and you're missing Travis, right, you're connecting to him and his energy and his memory, and you're pulling it to the present, to there with you. And that has such a huge role. Once we forget about a ghost, right, they stop coming around. And so what's interesting to me is there is a life cycle to ghosts, right? Like we talk about ghosts from 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. After that, not so much, right? Once they get to be 200, it's too far away. It's too far back. We don't connect to them anymore. We don't have any, you know, unless there's someone huge like Shakespeare or George Washington, right? There's a few exceptions, but like we don't really, it's just we can't relate. We're too disconnected. If it's once it's 3, 4, 5, 6 generations ago, it's really hard. And so I think when we hear about these ghost experiences, so much of it is us going there and literally thinking about and bringing up the energy of the people that we're trying to see, even if we didn't know them, you know, even if we're in a place that's, you know, like if you're in the White House and you're thinking about Abe Lincoln, you know, I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Tina, our good friend Tina, actually asked a little bit a while ago.
Oh, I'm on it. I'll find it.
Yeah, it was a question about Ghost Adventures. She wanted to know if there was a specific episode that changed you or moved you or affected you the most above all the rest. And there's been a few. So I know it's probably hard to narrow down just one.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. My number one is Pennhurst, which we already talked about, because I really felt like that one was an important story to tell. But there's been a bunch, you know. There's been, you know, there's been some where like you find some insight that maybe other people missed, and that's what gets me excited, right? It's like we can't just tell the same story other people told, and I know a big part of the show is like watching Zach and the crew have their experience and their investigation. I totally get it, right? But in my world, my research part, I'm like, I want to find something that someone else didn't find, or be able to debunk something. Not saying it's not haunted, but saying this part is true, this part is, this part isn't. So that's the stuff that gets me excited these days. Pennhurst is always my first one that I go to, but there's just so many that you realize like these are all people. You know what I mean? Like every ghost represents a person who might have gone through something horrible, and and someone's dad or daughter or cousin or wife or husband or whatever. It's funny. One of the things that changed me the most is becoming a dad, right? So, like that was the most game-changing moment of my life, hands down. You know. And so it changed my whole perspective on the paranormal. My daughter's going to be 14 in March. Oh, wow. So when I became a dad, I mean, I'd already been doing the paranormal for like, I don't know, 6, 7 years at that point. But it was just like, man, oh man, there was more gravity to everything. There was more weight to all of it, right? Like that was someone's kid. Like I have a kid, you know? And it changed my perspective quite a bit.
Or like asylums, especially, you know, if there's a child who has something that's wrong with them, they just drop them off. Like I, as a mother, can't imagine, you know, like, my kids drive me crazy sometimes, but
it's their job.
But just to like drop them off at a place and to never speak of them again, you know, just tell the neighbors that your kid died. Like that is so heartbreaking to me as a mom. That's how people were treated. And I can't imagine, even if there was something mentally wrong with these kids, like they're living in this place knowing that their own mother dropped them off and is never coming back for them. Like it just makes it makes it so much more heartbreaking when you go to these places to think that that's how people lived.
Yeah, it's a connection. How many kids do you have, Denise? 3.
All boys.
3. All boys, my goodness. Yeah, I didn't have to have practice kids. I just had the one.
It doesn't make you any better at it.
No, it doesn't. Although I'm not outnumbered.
Yes. Yeah, I am definitely outnumbered.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm the only man in the house of 3 women and a female dog, so I guess that's 4.
Yeah.
But that's the game changer. That's the thing. Like I always say, like, if you marry someone and your life radically changes, you probably married the wrong person. Yeah. But having a kid, I don't care who you are. Like your world is different now, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
I did.
Eileen down, there's about 5 ups though.
All right. So Eileen says, how long does it take you to research a location, Jeff? Do the Ghost Adventures let you know way in advance? I wish. So you can dig in deep to a location. It's a good question. So a lot of times we don't know much more than like a couple weeks before where we're going. And the reason for that is there's a lot, like the stuff's always shifting and changing. There's the networks telling us to go certain places. Zach finds a story he's really interested in. There's always like, you know, locations getting tossed around. So once I know where we're going, it takes, I mean, you know, at that point, it's actually, that's fun for me. Like, that's the fun part when they're like, here's where we're going. Good luck. I love that. I start to feed them stuff after about 3 or 4 days of research. I'll start to like give them interviews. So I'll talk to the people that are going to be on camera and get their stories. So we know, sometimes we have to do reenactments. So if someone says like, it's a guy with a bowler hat and a mustache and whatever, right? Like, so you, you know, so the producers know that they're going to have to recreate that. And then the history, and then we do deep dives into like newspaper archives. I go to ancestry.com. There's so many like resources I use, local historical societies, all that stuff, because we want to know everything we can about not just the building, but the land that it's on and all that other stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, a week is great. A week is, I can do almost anything in a week. But sometimes I only get like 4 or 5 days. So, you know, that's about the range.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I personally love it. I think that would be the best part of the job. I mean, that's so much fun to research locations, especially when you find things that nobody has known before, or nobody's obviously people knew about it when it happened, but nobody's talked about it, you know? Like at the seminary, we're at the point where we actually know more than the historical society about the building.
Yeah. Well, research is so the thing about research, right, is it doesn't have an end, you know, like, so thank God for deadlines, because at some point, like I could keep looking for years on any building, right? Like think about it, if a building's been there for 200 years, that's 200 years of data. I'm not going to find it all, right? Like who built it? That's probably pretty well recorded somewhere. Like what year, when did it come onto the deeds and all that other stuff? Like all that stuff's pretty easy. But, you know, who are all the people that came and went through that building? Like what were their stories? Can I find their journals? Can I find letters? And then the other thing is that, you know, when you do find journals and letters, some people look at those as like this treasure of historical fact. And you forget that when people wrote journals, they were embellishing the hell out of that, right? Like, they're like, I heroically, you know, like, majestically, amazingly, hitherto did these foreseen wonderful events surrounding me. And everybody makes themselves out to be a hero. Very few are like, I am just such a horrible person. I just let the kid drown in the lake and I didn't even bother, you know, like, so you got to read between all the lines and all that other stuff. So you can literally never stop learning about any subject.
But that's fun though.
It's totally fun. And
I mean, not for you, because you have to move on. Like I'm allowed to just stick with the seminary and learning new things about them. You know, you have to move on. So that's got to be rough, because I would still want to keep going.
But you know what though, honestly, Denise, like that would be my hell, being in one place. Like, and that's just the way I'm wired. We're just wired differently. Like I need to keep moving on to different stories, because I'm just like, ooh, look, a shiny thing. Like, ooh, I'm going that way. And I totally respect people that want to spend like years learning everything about one place. It's awesome. I can't do it. I need to keep chasing different things. But that's just like a different wiring. So but I totally love the fact that and like with paranormal groups, back when there was like, I know there's still millions of them, but when there seemed to be more in the past, they're like, we've investigated 100 different buildings. And then like, I remember one group, they're like, no, we've investigated this building 100 times. And I'm like, oh, well, you probably know it, right? You're not going to get fooled by like a little creak in the wall. You're gonna be like, that's where the water pipe is. That always ticks like that when someone flushes the toilet. Like, you know, it's not a ghost. That's the wall. And the third step creaks always when you walk on it, you know, like, and so, you know, suddenly you're going to know that building. So yeah, I think it's cool, but I do love it. It's super fun. It's fun to like dig through and find these amazing resources that are, so many of them are online now. You know, like stuff that like Google Books, you know, and like there's stuff that you just, my God, I would have had to travel the world's libraries for weeks, you know, and that you can just find now.
We had a question from Raylene. She wants to know, Jeff, is there a place you'd like to go to investigate, research that you haven't been to yet, like a bucket list place?
Yeah, there's one, and I've sort of been there. I wrote a book about the ghosts of the White House years ago, and I got to go there and interview some of the staff and get the tour and all that other stuff, and that was amazing. But the real grand prize is to get up to like the Lincoln bedroom, but that's the presidential living area. Now, however, if anyone's watching tonight, there is an opportunity, right? So the only way to get up to the Lincoln bedroom is only one. I mean, work there, I guess, is one way. You have to be invited by the first family, because the White House works tirelessly to make sure that once they're on the second floor, that I mean, you're living in a fishbowl. They can at least give you your privacy, and like that's your space. So you'd have to be invited by the president or first family. But there's a window of about 4 hours. It's coming up January 20th. When there's a transition between administrations. There's this little window where there's technically, not an occupant. I mean, he's coming, but
right?
If anyone knows the moving van company,
what if we just do a Area 51 thing? Let's storm it. They can't stop us all. Remember that?
It's the best meme today. They're like, they had a picture of like the mob rioting into the Capitol building, and it said, "This is what I wanted for Area 51, but no." Yeah, I was like, that's great.
That was so well thought out. I don't know why that didn't go anywhere.
That was. I think it's cool that someone turned it into like a music festival, and then like one guy started running toward the fence, and everyone else was like, they got a lot of guns over there.
Yeah,
Peggy's asking.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're fine. Peggy's asking, did you have any part in Zach's museum? Did you research any of the objects?
No, Peggy, I didn't have much to do with his museum. I did help him get David Koresh's car. Like if I see something, if I come across something that I think would be interesting to him, I'll like text him or email him, Zach. And I remember I saw that David Koresh from the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. He had like a Mustang or something that was for sale. And I texted it to Zach, and I'm like, check this craziness out. And the next day he's like, I bought it. It'll be here in like 2 days. And I was like, glad I could help. Yeah.
That is awesome. He's got some pretty crazy stuff.
He does. Yeah, no, I mean that museum is like his passion. He's always looking for weird things in there. And no, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Making sure I'm not missing any questions.
I know. I always forget.
There was something I saw, but I can't remember. It might have. I'm like squinting at the comments, like I can move them back. Oh, I can't move them back. Never mind.
Good job, man. Good job.
Oh,
I'm glad I contribute to the show.
Yeah.
Yay!
So much.
Well done.
Oh, here we go. How many days in Ghost Adventures crew are they filming at a location, investigating? A couple days?
It's usually 3 days. Okay. 3 intense planned out days is typically how we do it. And we have 2. There's like a B-roll team and a talent team, and like the schedule's full, right? Like from morning to night, getting the interviews, doing the thing, and then the investigation is usually the last night, and that's straight through. That's filmed in one go, and the guys film that themselves, right? They go in there and they do that themselves. So 3 days.
Okay.
Yep.
So then you're there like interviewing people during the day and stuff for the first couple days?
Yeah, so like day one, Zach likes to do the interviews. So because what he wants to do is he wants to get a sense for, okay, someone had an experience in this room, someone had something happen over there, this and this, and he starts to kind of piece together in his head how he wants to do the investigation. And so the interviews are always up front. historical overview, like tours from the, he gets a walkthrough from the owner or whoever's like, connected to the place. And then he can start to piece together how he's going to want to do the investigation, which is the last thing that they do and the last thing that's filmed. That's his formula. And I actually think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, you don't want to interview people after you've investigated and learn that maybe you weren't looking in the right places. So yeah, that's how it's done.
Then we got one from John. Oh, sorry. One from John Gately. Does the GA crew prefer to investigate places with reports of demonic activity over places that don't have demonic activity?
Yeah, Zach prefers the scarier the better, right? I mean, he's drawn to like the darker stuff if we can find it, and so yeah, for sure, that's his preference. Sometimes, but not always. Sometimes we do locations that are not necessarily demonic, but there's always a darker element in there somewhere. I'm thinking about a place we're doing next week because I just finished it today, and turned it in. So yeah, there's always like this undertone, this element, and I guess it makes it a little more dangerous, a little more alluring for some people.
Yeah. Makes sense. There's a little place called the House of Wills in Cleveland. I want to throw out there. Dark.
Let's go.
Dark place.
Cleveland. You guys have a football team playing in the playoffs. Who knew?
Yeah.
For the first time in 18 years.
I think Jimmy Carter was president last time. Yeah.
That hurts.
Exciting.
And for the first time in 18 years, my team is not in the playoffs.
Yeah, true.
Damn you, New England Patriots. Oh, well. Now, at least when I say I'm a Patriot fan, I don't get like obscenities yelled at me.
Right.
Now they're just like, oh okay. Fine. You guys kind of suck now. Like, yeah, we kind of do.
Yeah. I think it's funny too. I saw a meme that said it's the most Cleveland Browns thing ever for them to be in the playoffs when nobody can go to the games. Like when the fans can't be part of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's us.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I wonder how much you have to pay to have a cardboard cutout of yourself set in the stadium.
It's a lot in some stadiums.
Yeah.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard it's over $100 sometimes in some of them, even more.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I can't afford to go to like. I mean, I've been fortunate to go to like 3 preseason games. Like that's all I could ever afford to go to. And then sometimes the weather up here is so crappy that I'm like, you know what? There's no line for the toilet. There's beer in the fridge. Like, we're cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? The last time I was at a game, beer was $10. $10 beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
It's ridiculous.
And I have 2 hands, and so I'm buying 2. And like, but then I feel crappy. Like I got to tip you, but $20 for 2 beers?
Yeah.
It's
dude.
Nuts.
They pretty much only go. Yeah.
Got a question from Kathy. Do you ever smudge or sage yourself after you leave holy water in a spray bottle?
I'm sure there's a word missing there.
Yeah.
I get the gist.
Right.
No, I don't. I don't do holy water or smudge or anything. I've never had a problem. I'm not overly sensitive. Just never really have been. And so yeah, no, I don't really have any of those kind of rituals or anything. And it's pretty rare for me to have a paranormal experience. Like, most of the time it's just not going to happen. I can count on one hand, like how many times I went, whoa, I can't explain that. And so, but also too, like, I don't summon. I don't get out there and talk. I'm not saying, come talk to me. I'm just there. I'm just walking around. And so I'm not asking for it. I'm not provoking it. I'm just there, and I figure if there's something for me to see, then it'll materialize, and I'll see it. But I also recognize that sometimes the people you're with have such a factor in it. Like we've done events where we'll have a group come in and like stuff's just crazy. There'll be sounds over here and someone touched over there, and there's like a weird noise and all this other stuff. Yeah. And then the next group comes in, and you're like, hey, put your seatbelts on. It's going to be crazy, and then crickets,
Right. Yeah.
And you go, wow. I mean, so I mean, I've always believed in my heart of hearts that each person in the location is an ingredient in the stew, you know? And so different ingredients yield different results. And so some ingredients, like that stew, is spicy and popping, and in other ingredients it's just needs salt at least, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm one of the ingredients that makes it pop or not pop. I'm pretty neutral, right? I'm like potatoes, right? I'm the potato in the stew. It's just there. It's, you know, starch. It's good, but whatever. But other people come in and really give it the kick, and I'm not one of those people, so I guess I don't worry too much.
Yeah. I think one time somebody smudged me unwillingly.
Smudge rate.
I didn't ask for this. They were doing it, and they were like, started getting closer to me, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't normally do that, but at the same time, I'm the same way. You know, I go places, I'm nice. I'm not trying to poke anything. I'm not trying to be an asshole, you know? So I don't really have any problems.
We used to guide the ghost tours for the Barberton Historical Society, and we caught a lady smudging in the building without asking anybody permission. Like, this is a historical building,
right?
Yeah. Please do not burn anything without permission, especially waving it around. You know, just
oh my gosh,
lighting this big smudge stick on fire.
It was pissing off the other ghosts, like the people that were investigating. They're like, "What are they doing, man? They're getting rid of everybody."
Yeah, right.
Well, we had one lady that was actually having a semi-allergic reaction to the smell too.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's a very strong smell. So
you sure it was sage?
Right.
It could have been something else, but
one of the
contact.
One of my pet peeves. Have you ever been like psychic raped? Like where someone's got a reading for you that you didn't ask for?
Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool at all. Right? When someone comes up and goes, I have a message for you from spirit, I have to tell you. And I'm like, I didn't ask for it. And so this is not welcome. And it isn't. I'm not receptive. And like I've had people say, like, I see you on a road and then you're not on the road. And I'm like, not cool. Right? If you want to wish me safe travels, fine.
Right.
Right.
Hey, drive safe. Like, you don't have to tell me that you saw me drive off the road.
Like, you have a message from my grandfather? Come on, right? Like, he would know that that's not the best way to get me the message. You know,
didn't you go back in time and kill him, or is that a different?
I thought about it.
This is his paternal grandpa.
Don't make it weird. Don't make it weird. No, but that's one of those things where I'm like, it wasn't asked for, right? If I ask you.
Yeah,
then fine. But if I didn't ask, like, please don't offer it. I don't think
a lot of people will say, you know, is it all right if I do this? That's okay, but don't start blurting out information.
Yeah, folks, consent in every part of your life is important.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Ask. I remember when my wife was pregnant and I was like doing paranormal conferences. Quite a number, 5 psychics, and some of these folks are famous, and I'm not going to name any names. But they're like, what's new? I'm like, I'm expecting, you know, child and all that other stuff. And it's a boy. 5 out of 5 said it's a boy.
Said it was a boy. Nice.
Separately. They weren't in a group and agreed. Like, this was like 5 separate things.
Did you call them all up?
It's a boy. And we never found out the gender. Like, we never wanted to know. We told the doctor, we don't want to know. Life gives us so few happy surprises. So, like, just doesn't matter. Just want to know that the child's healthy. Yeah. And it gets to the point where I'm like, it's going to be a boy, I guess, you know, and then, you know, birthday comes and it's a girl. We're like, all 5 were wrong. But if I ask 5 people separately, heads or tails on a coin,
right,
the odds of them picking heads each is actually, it's pretty mathematically remote.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's bizarre.
I'll go ahead and ask it. Not sure what it means. Anyone get visited by the La Befana, the witch of Christmas, yesterday?
The Befana is the Italian Christmas witch who comes down on December 6th. And in Italian folklore, she originally was the when the three magi were going to following the Christmas star, they were a little lost. They asked her for lodging for the night. They stayed there. They said, "This is the nicest place we've ever stayed. You're such a good cook." And she became La Befana, the Christmas witch. And on January 6th, she comes down your chimney. She delivers toys to the good girls and boys. But the very best part is that before she leaves, she cleans your house.
Oh, God damn it. She definitely
come to my house.
She did not come here either.
Not here.
So sadly, no. The Befana.
I did not know that story.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
Italian Italian Christmas lore and legend. And no Befana here. It's Dusty is. Yeah.
Can we put in a request? Like, how do you?
I don't know. Maybe you have to be Italian. I don't know.
La Strigalo. I don't know. Eileen.
Yes. Strega. Strega means witch.
Oh, La Strega. I gotcha.
Strega.
I was like Strigalo. What the hell?
LOL, dude.
Yeah.
There must be a space there. She's got it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I got to put it up on the screen, I guess, before I read it out loud.
I'm just gonna let it go, man.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about, Joy.
Yes.
Can we summon her?
You can try.
Apparently, I wasn't good enough because she didn't show up here.
Yeah, no, it's I wasn't either. If it makes you feel any better or worse, I don't know. But yeah, no, there's so many great stories around dates and holidays, right? So it's not just like locations that I think can have, you know, haunting significance, but dates too play such a role. You know, think about like Halloween, right?
Right.
And like people like us think about ghosts all year round.
Right.
But the whole world thinks about them on Halloween. And so suddenly are we like collectively bringing them to some sort of, you know, like, are
Right.
we, you know,
Right.
what I mean? And
Like,
and
is there actually more activity on Halloween, or are we making more activity because everybody's thinking about it and everybody's ghost hunting on Halloween? You know,
and the answer, Denise, is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the cart or the horse, right? It's here, and that's the reality. And it's a tradition that goes back thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so for thousands of years, we've been told this, you know, October 31st, November 1st, the veil is thin. It's a time for spirits. Horror movies come out, ghost stories, like ghost people, you know, everybody's ghosts thinking about ghosts. And so at that point, there really is more activity because we're all looking for it.
Right.
And you know, we look for it in April and May and August and whatever, but when the whole world's paying attention, you know, you start to see things and look forward and I think call it forward in some way. So there's a time, there's seasonality to it. There's specific days, anniversaries of deaths and tragedies and whatever, right? Like every date has got its significance. I mean, think about haunted locations where I think about like the Lizzie Borden house here in Fall River, Massachusetts, about an hour from me. August 4th is the date. That's the date of the murder. Right. What do you think the busiest day at Lizzie Borden's is? Right, like the breakfast. August 4th, right? The rooms rented out a year ahead of time. You know, and it's one of those things that you know there's significance because we put weight on it. This was the day it happened, and I'm here on that day.
Yeah.
Are you doing readings?
I'll do readings. What do you want?
I'm thinking she wants a psychic reading.
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Who should I do? Who wants one?
Her name's Jamie Love.
No, one of you guys.
Oh, one of us. Okay.
I'll do it.
Michael.
Michael? All right. I see the number 3. Either in your birthday, address, phone number, social security number, credit card number.
God, you're amazing.
Close. It is
Okay.
my birthday.
I see you have parents.
Yes.
Oh my
They're
God.
either alive or dead.
Yes.
They are either over 6 feet tall or under 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Come on. I am nailing all these.
You are amazing.
You
Remember
got
that
me.
thing
You
that
got it.
happened? All right, stay with me now. Remember that thing that happened to you in your childhood? That sad thing?
Yeah.
I just
Yes.
got a message from Spirit that you got to let it go. It's going to be okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's deep. I didn't think we were going to get that deep tonight.
Boom!
Okay.
Nailed
Nailed
that.
it.
Heisenberg,
Nailed
are you
it.
crying?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, get out of my head, Jeff. I feel like I could be really good at cold readings. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not psychic at all. I just truly think I could just like pull out the cold reading, you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe you should be a little bit more specific than what you just did, but I think you can handle it. I
Well,
feel
it's
like
my
a lot of
first
it is-
time, Denise. Can you give me a break?
Cut him some slack, D. Jeez.
Like,
Jeez.
I don't know how your first psychic reading went, but I thought mine went pretty well. He said
It was
yes to
good.
everything.
He did. Yeah.
What
And
would
I
you
like
pay
when
for that,
people
Michael?
say-
Just curious.
Hmm?
Well, how much would you pay for that reading if you like, you know?
Oh, at least $50. At least.
Wow. This
And
is
I
awesome.
give you a tip. I give you a tip for how right you are.
That's amazing. That's what I'll charge. Every time I get something right, it's $10.
Nice.
Like, he knew that I had parents, that I was born somewhere.
Weird.
You
There's
were
a
born
free
on
in somewhere.
Earth, somewhere on Earth.
I don't know.
Well, you might be wrong there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Your first no.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, so it's but I mean, I do believe we all have some sort of ability, right? We have some sort of connection, and think about every time you've met someone, anyone, and you get like this gut reaction of either like, ooh,
Yeah.
interesting, like drawn to them, or maybe repelled by them, or maybe neutral, right? And so like, and all they said was like hello. And
Right.
so I think that we all have this sort of like this energetic instinct that, and if you want to label that as psychic, I totally accept that. That's a fine term. The idea that we're afraid of some people naturally, drawn to some people naturally, some situations. Maybe you're walking in an alley and you're scared. You're scared because your whole physiology is reacting in an animalistic way, in a way that's trying to keep you safe and alive. That
Right.
I'm in a place that could be dangerous, that someone could jump out. And I say, if you don't listen to that inner voice, those inner instincts, you know, you do so at your peril. I mean, that we all are born with those innate abilities. And then to me, the other big one is the really big one is, and again, relative to the world we're in now, is empathy, right? People say I'm empathic. You should be. We should all be.
Yeah.
When you walk into a room of a family or just a friend or even like someone you hardly know, like sometimes you're just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, something's wrong. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like you're sad. I can feel the sadness. Do you want to talk about it? Right? Can I help? Can I listen or something? And so that empathy is so critical. And I believe that when we go to locations that we know are haunted, that empathy extends to not just living people, but the people that were there before. So Denise, you talked about like kids that got dropped off and mom's not coming back.
Yeah.
Or like, you imagine going into an orphanage and being like, you know, like as a parent, you're just like, oh, right. There's someone that's missing loving these kids. And you start feeling this empathetic thing, even though they've been gone 100 years,
Right.
right? Like you feel this connection because you can only imagine. And that's good. It means you're a human being, a fully functional human being. And that empathy is a thing we so sorely need to tap into when it comes to dealing with people who may not agree with us politically or the sports team we like or whatever, right? Like that's the thing we gotta remember. What can we connect on? Not you know, because we know what we can disconnect on. That's easy. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could just flip the internet on here and figure that out. But
I think it's hard. I mean, the internet is great, like, you know, for this whole quarantine thing, like us being able to, it seems like we're having a face-to-face conversation. That's good. But at the same time, it has created such a disconnect between people. Like, people forget that it's a human being on the other side of those words that you're saying. You know, you type a comment and you're just typing into a computer, but people forget to remember that it's a person on the other end, and that person is having problems of their own, and that person is upset too. And I think that if everybody had a little bit more empathy and paid attention to the fact that those are human beings, we'd be in a lot better situation. I mean, we could sit here and have empathy for people who are not even alive anymore. Like maybe you guys could try having empathy for your neighbor, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. And I think that's the lesson. And that's one of the things that, again, we could learn, you know, people were citing all kinds of history poorly yesterday. Really, showing no understanding whatsoever of things that happened, you know, in the 1870s and beyond, like not even a close grasp of what was any sort of contextual anything, but it doesn't matter. And that's the funny thing too, right? Is like taking the story and then trying to warp it to your own needs. And that's the thing about history, right? Is that I get that we have to interpret it, but but sometimes that borderlines on abuse.
Right.
You know, it's a malpractice.
Yeah. That's not just a poor interpretation. That's just twisting it. Yeah. That's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's strange time, but you know, historic, and if nothing else, man, we got stories to tell our grandkids.
Yeah.
Like my daughter, my 13-year-old, right? Like she's in 8th grade, and I'm like, you know, a mask all the time, and I'm like, you don't even know. I never had to wear a mask. Like I never.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Your grandparents never had to do this.
Right.
This is stuff that's so, and I keep waiting. Like I think about her. I think about kids that are like high school seniors right now.
I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Or in college and should be like at parties with like thousands of people there, and like, and I'm just like, oh man, what are they missing out on? You know, and my you know, when your kid's 13, like they want to be locked in their room anyway.
Yeah, they're thriving right now.
Tell me about it. I haven't seen my daughters in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So the timing is sort of okay here. Hoping, you know, within another year we're done with this, and she can get back to like living, you know, like a normal life again. But yeah, it's strange. Yeah.
I keep telling my kids, I'm like, someday they're going to write about this in the history books, and you can say that you were there, you remember it, you lived through it.
I have the mask. I still have the mask. Yeah, right. Yeah.
In the keepsakes box.
Yeah.
Someone had a comment. You just put it up. Like the influx of spirit right now is staggering, right? Yeah. So one of the interesting things that happened too back in March, I noticed, was that I was getting a lot more emails and stuff from people saying, I think my house is haunted, which is crazy because I've lived here for like 6 years and it wasn't haunted until now. Right. Yeah. And so I think part of it is like we were so busy, just go. And suddenly like everything screeched to a halt. And we were real quiet, and we were sitting around all day in our home, like not leaving it. You know, there's people like, you know, at a certain age when you work, you go out with friends and you just sleep. You're just like, you're in your place like 6 to 7 hours a day. And otherwise you're out. And now you're there all the time. And
you're noticing every single little noise. Yeah.
You're like, was that always here? Right.
Yeah.
And the answer is it probably was. It probably was always there. You just now are starting to sort of tune into it. And so interesting how some of us have treated this time, whether we bettered ourselves through meditation or diet or exercise or reading or feeding our minds or whatever. You know, and then I know for some people too, it's all they could do to just make it to tomorrow. Right. And that's tough. I get it. And we all got to do what we got to do to just make it to tomorrow.
And you don't know who is in that situation too. That's the part that drives me crazy about people. You know, I mean, like I'm a pretty positive person, and you know, people just assume that just because I'm happy and I'm positive that nothing goes wrong. Like I've been there. I've had situations where my house was almost foreclosed on, but you wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? And unless you're a super empath, you know, I have people in my life that'll be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. And they're like, I know something's wrong, you know, but most people aren't like that. Most people don't have that ability. So it's just, that's our motto. Somebody just said it too. Just don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. Yeah. No, we know when a woman says she's fine, it means she's fine. Everything's okay.
Fine.
Yeah, right.
If I say it like that, I'm not fine.
Thank goodness. I'm fine. Oh, whew. What's wrong?
I usually just say okay and just leave it at that.
I'll teach you.
You'll validate for it.
Yeah. How dare you not know the code?
Right?
How did you not read my mind?
I'm just like, okay,
She said it was fine and you believed her? Wow.
well, I'm not going to open that can of worms. She says she's fine. I'm just like, okay, bye.
All right, gonna grab some beer and watch the game. Yeah.
Oh, good. Could you get the beer then?
Yeah.
Like, cut me
Just
some
don't ask
mango.
her. Just don't ask her if she's okay to begin with.
Yeah,
Well, that's the key.
that's a rough one
Yeah.
sometimes.
You walk up and you say, "I know there's something wrong. What can I do to help you, honey?"
You say, how's your day? And you run.
Then you turn on Call of Duty Mobile while she's talking to you.
Whatever we got to do to get through, you know. We do.
Right.
We do.
It has been very humbling though too. You know,
Yeah.
like I personally, I used to have 2 jobs. I used to do the seminary, you know what I mean? I was gone like all the time. And I always thought, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. You know, I have so many things to do. And then when you don't have to do them, you're like, oh my God, I'm like really not important. Oh my God.
I'm not an essential worker.
Right.
Like, and it's funny, you realize, like, yeah, like the people at the grocery store, like their job is legit so much more important than mine.
Right.
No, I'm not joking at
Like,
all.
we could
Like,
not live
no,
without
true.
them.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
And the funny thing is, like, when I go to the grocery store, it's my big day out.
Right.
Right?
Like, do my hair, like pick out my outfit like 2 days ahead of time.
Yeah. Pick out treats and stuff and stuff we're gonna cook this week, and like I'm making homemade bread, and like I'm like Betty freaking Crocker over here, you know?
Wash and wax the old truck, so when I'm sitting there at curbside pickup, they're a little impressed when they walk up to that.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Hey,
Oh, you
man,
must
put
have
on the
money.
suit, you know?
Yeah, my husband asked me the other day, he's like, do you want to go to Walmart? And I was like, oh my God, like together?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I'm
What's
like,
the
oh my God,
occasion?
yes. Can we go?
Did he buy you
Date night.
flowers?
We haven't done anything together though. You know what I mean? Because one of us always stays home with the kids or whatever, or he's at work and I go do it, whatever. Like we haven't gone anywhere together. And so going to Walmart was really exciting.
No,
Yeah.
I believe me, I get it. And I'm like, you know, and then you might even see people.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, I haven't seen you since February.
Stay 6 feet
Stay
away.
over there. Stay over there.
Yeah. But if
Hi.
they're people that you don't want to see, you're wearing a mask. So
Yeah.
it's fine. You can usually slide by without them noticing.
Yeah. No, but it's funny. And then I realized, and then, you know, I mean, I always like chat with the people when I'm at the checkout at groceries anyway, because I'm like, we both have to be here. Might as well chat.
Right.
And, and you know, like when you go to most of us go to the same grocery store all the time. And you know the people that work there. You just do. Like maybe not by name, but you're in their line and you're like, hey, how's it going? And I remember in the beginning, like the fear I saw in their eyes, you know, and
Yeah.
again, I've been going to the same grocery store for like 9 years. So I know, you know them. And there was just like this uncomfortable thing. And I was like, holy crap, you have every person in town in front of you. And they, you know, like I thought about it. I was like, if someone has COVID, they may still come here and because they need food,
Mhm.
right? And maybe they don't have someone they can send out to get their groceries, right? Maybe it's just like, hey, I hope I don't cough on you. I'm sorry if I do, but I need food.
Yeah.
And like,
here, take my money that I've been
yeah, and
touching.
suddenly I'm like, my God, the grocery store workers are like the bravest people out there. Like they're the ones that are like getting us our food and facing every schmuck in town.
Yep.
You know, who's interacted with every other schmuck in town.
Yeah.
It's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm super impressed. So anyway, so I just try to tell them jokes and keep it lively while I'm there.
Right. Plus they deal with so many assholes too. Like you might as well give them the reason to smile. They're there for 8 hours dealing with people.
My goal is like when I do these things, I'm always like, can I make someone laugh in the 2 minutes I have to spend with them? Like, can I, you know, and actually there's a few that I've gotten to know. Just one's like a paranormal fan. So, you know, should talk about that. But then just another guy likes music and he always always wears like masks with like Kiss on them or
Nice.
like, different. So we'll just talk about like songs or whatever. But yeah, try to keep it light.
I like it.
Yeah, we got to stay positive. I mean, it's rough. It's rough out there. I can't.
Yeah. It is. It is. It is. But I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm always an optimist. I think, like, you know, I mean, every day we have the opportunity to turn the page. And I have a monthly newsletter on my website. And this month I started with, like, I feel sorry for 2021 because there's a lot of pressure on it. You know?
For sure.
Before, we're all like, screw you, 2020. I'm so done with you. And then so it's like, you know, December 31st, 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's the same. Like, it's not any different than it was 2 months ago. And but you know,
just picked up where 2020 left off.
Right. And so on the one hand, but I still have hope that, like, we're getting on the other side of this thing, that the vaccine's going to help, that, you know, we're just whatever, that we're going to get through it. And, but it's also, especially, you know, I know you guys, you're in Ohio, right? I mean, in these northern climates where we can get epic snowstorms and long, dark, cold winters, winters are tough for us folks anyway.
Right.
Like it's that's the season you stare down. You're like, okay, got to make it spring on a normal year.
Right.
You know? But now we've got this on top of it, and we went through it, you know, in March already, and now it's just like, okay, winter with COVID. What's
winter with COVID.
Yeah. But we do what we can, you know, we do what we can. We work on projects, we do these things, whatever. This
show has been, I mean, it's been a lifesaver for me. I mean, it's something I look forward to doing every week. And bringing people some fun, hopefully they're enjoying it, you know, some positivity, because we don't really ever dive into the negative politics. We don't really go down those rabbit holes. We try to stay fun and, like you said, light.
No one comes to us for, like, that. That's one of the things, like, you know, I never post politically on my Facebook or any of my social media, because I'm always like, no one comes to me for that, right? No one's like, Jeff, I need your political insight as to, like, you know, like,
does anybody go to anybody for political insight though? Like, everybody's got their mind made up. Like, there's no point in saying it online, anything ever. Nobody has ever changed their mind.
I've got my opinions too, but, like, whatever. You just want to hear me talk about ghosts, and that's fine. Like, you know, it's totally cool. But I do think that we can sometimes, and that's so. If I could shamelessly plug my podcast one more time,
absolutely.
I do think when I work on those stories, I do sort of feel like, in a weird way, I'm like this preacher, right? And these stories, these legends from the past, are sermons, right? And it's not up to me whether a story sticks around. It's a community. It's a collective decision. And because what do I know? I don't know a story unless someone tells me, unless someone says, hey, there's this, like, weird Dover demon that's been seen on the side of the road, you know, and you go, oh, how'd that happen? So we keep these stories around because there's something in them that we haven't reconciled yet. There's either a moral we haven't learned yet. There's some lesson. There's some tragic event. That's something that just keeps replaying to remind us, like, hey, it's happened before. It could happen again. And we keep talking about it.
I love it.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you continue? We got like 10 minutes left. Any other projects you're working on? Go ahead and hit the release on your new book.
Is enough for you, Goose. Nothing. God.
What else are you working on, man? I mean, come on. You only have.
I'm painting the ceilings of my house. Is that enough? Is that something for you? Like, what will make you happy?
Where can we tune into that?
I'm hardly sleeping. Like, dude, there's only so many hours. No, like it's my schedule's pretty full, like, legitimately so. One thing though is I am doing a ton of these live programs over Zoom, and they're sponsored by various libraries and organizations, and that's been really cool. And what's neat is typically January I don't do anything, but now I'm getting booked in January and February, and they're all on my website. Most of them are free to attend. You just need to register to get the Zoom link. And what's cool is I've challenged myself when I do these nights is that I never do the same show twice. Yeah. So if it's like a night of New England legends, I'll tell 10 stories. And if it's 3 nights in a row and you went all 3 nights, you'd hear 30 different stories. Nice. So it's always like changing it up and adding new stories and just new things all the time. And so again, it's still my favorite thing to do, and it's it's still fun on Zoom, not as fun as being in person, but it's
True,
it's
yeah.
still something that's been pretty cool. So I'm still working on that, doing a lot more of those. I think I did 70 since March.
Wow.
And I bet there's even more this year. So, because I'm booking them left and right already.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was just the Zoom, the Zoom gigs. So so just working on that, and I'd like to start working on a new book this winter. It's a good time for me to write.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like I've done so many house projects. House looks great. Like the walls are painted and all those things.
Every time we start planning for a project, something breaks.
Yeah.
So all that money that's planned for the project is going to repair something else.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, my water heater's like looking a little old, and I'm like, oh, I know that's one of those things. Yeah. Like you should do it before it breaks. It's a lot cheaper, Yeah, John, the zombie prom. Oh, so
what's that?
The zombie prom every year, whatever the weekend is closest to Valentine's Day, we hold a zombie prom at a local bar. And
Nice.
you come dressed as a zombie. All the money goes to charity. We raise money for different charities, and everybody's just dressed like zombies. And we have like live music or DJs, and it's just like a bar full of zombies drinking, and it's just epic. And then we have a zombie prom king and queen, where we'll crown them. By applause, we'll crown them. Some of the costumes and makeup that people do are just epic beyond belief. Like the time they put into it,
that's really cool.
Is so much fun. So yeah, sadly this year there will be no zombie prom, but next year, when we can do it. And it's always whatever the closest Saturday to Valentine's Day, because it's the most un-Valentine's Day thing you can do. It's if you're single, come on down. Who cares? If you're married and it's too much stress on you, just come with your spouse. Like it's all good. Like just it doesn't matter. There's no pressure of like whatever.
That's totally something my wife and I would get into.
So for how like most people hate Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Like all this is where you want to be. Zombie prom, right?
Nice.
Because it will not there's no Hallmark getting thrown in your face. It's just zombies drinking and listening to music.
I like it.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a really good time.
What's that?
The Zombie Day card. That's what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
Sell them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Do it for sure. But yeah, no, that's I miss those too. I miss doing those events and the live events, like where I miss getting on an airplane.
Yeah.
And just flying somewhere. Like that was I love getting on airplanes and flying somewhere. I just think it's so cool that, there's this whole world out there. Sorry, Eileen, who works for Hallmark. No offense, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean, right? Like
we're like, there's none of that Hallmark bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Eileen.
I didn't
see you there.
Yeah.
We love you, Eileen.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on, Eileen.
Walking into that bar though.
I got it.
We're back to the 80s.
Yeah.
Back to the 80s.
Where's the guitar?
Get the guitar out, man. It's time.
Is it time? Should we do Come On, Eileen?
If you know it, do it.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's look it up. Let's see how hard this one is. I don't know.
It'd be a great way to go out tonight.
You could play us out however you want, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it's not that hard. Do I need a capo or anything?
Amazing.
All right. I've never done this one, so give me a break, right? Johnny Ray, okay, and then the wait, what's the chorus? Okay, ready? Okay, yeah. Come on, Eileen, I swear that I mean this moment. You mean everything. In that dress, my thoughts I confess, verge on dirty. Come on, Eileen. Huh? No?
Very good.
Love it.
Beautiful, man.
Nice.
You didn't even need a cable.
All right.
That was
Good night,
awesome.
Cleveland.
I was looking for a lighter, but I don't have one next to me.
No, it's fine. It's all for the best.
Oh, people use cell phones now. They don't use lighters like they used
No,
to.
they just
Cell phones now, boomer.
they just hold it up. Yeah.
Gen X. I am Gen X.
So the folks, for those who like don't play guitar or an instrument, like, you know, that was just a total sight read first time. If I had known, I would have practiced it earlier today. And so sorry.
I think it sounded perfect.
It was pretty amazing
Fine.
for first time. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Spot on.
thanks. It was like being in night. It's like, where's my parachute pants? Where's my mullet? Where's my mullet? It's,
Those are coming
Oh my
back.
God, I remember the parachute pants so bad. Those are terrible.
Parachute pants are kind of coming back too. But mullets are
Yes,
back.
they
Oh, no.
are, right?
Yeah.
dude, you know what though? At least the 80s had color.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very colorful.
Everything's black or brown or navy blue now. Like, it's just, you know, it's so drab. Like, I had neon shoelaces
Yeah.
and I had like neon bandanas tied around my thigh around my parachute pants.
Which were also neon.
And
Yeah.
I had like my shirt was so bright it matched my shoelaces.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, styling. My mullet was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so many people wore sunglasses in the 80s.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
line.
Yep, the lines, the little shades.
John says
Literal
Jeff, you
shades.
should go on the Masked Singer.
Go on the Masked Singer. Keep the mask on. Didgeridoo?
You play that too?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I played.
Yes.
Can you name that tune? All right, ready? This is
Rico
Come On
Love.
Eileen on the didgeridoo. Come on, Eileen.
Perfect.
I totally nailed it, man.
I know. Now that I practiced. The guitar I wasn't ready, but the didgeridoo I can play any song.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was amazing. What a way to go out on the first
Right?
show after the new year, man.
Listen, if you want me to record some of that for your closing credits, I would.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Don't tempt us with a good time because we would do it.
Yeah. God.
Oh my goodness.
Now I
Great
want to
time.
do it, man.
I'm gonna put out an album of just didgeridoo songs. It'll be it'll be like "Come On, Eileen," like, you know, whatever. Like, it'll be
And they're all the exact same two notes.
pretty much just be like, this is my interpretation of, you know, "F the Police" by NWA.
It also sounds like Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Sir Mix-a-Lot, I like big butts. Anyone? Dun, 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 dun.
I'm
I think there
crying.
actually is a didgeridoo in that song.
Is there really?
I don't know. That'd be
Oh,
great.
God.
That's
It's like hearing the original.
the
It's
original. Whatever. Sir
definitely
Mix-a-Lot's blowing up my phone all the time. He's like, "We got to do something together, Jeff.
I need that didgeridoo.
You got to get the didgeridoo. I'm ready for my comeback. Let's do this."
I love it.
Fix, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's about that time. We got about 30 seconds before we got to sign off.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll have to do this again because this was an awesome time.
One
Yeah,
is all you get.
Yeah, he literally just said that.
Sorry. All right. Well, fine.
Our transaction's complete here. This is it.
What about when you're a team with Sir Mix-a-Lot and you guys go on tour?
All
Then
right.
can we have you back?
Then we'll come on to promote that tour.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, seriously, thank you so much, man. It's always a great time talking to you and listening to your stories and your opinions, and just it's good stuff, man. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
If you're ever around Madison, let me know. I
Yeah.
have a key to the building.
Yeah. She literally lives like right down the street, so she's over there all the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And thank you guys. Thank you, Crypto Heads, for coming on tonight. We are so happy to be back. I think I speak for all of us. It was nice to have a couple weeks off, but I was really jonesing to get back on and talk to everybody tonight. So thank you for tuning in. Our special guest next week is Tim Maley, an awesome guy. Comes from Fox Cities Paranormal Team, and he has an amazing event. So we had to have him on. It's called Potographs for Pooches. It's like a paranormal paracon, and a lot of the funds go towards animal rescues. So he's an amazing guy, amazing event. So it'll be a really good night. And hey, you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy, stay positive. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. And we love you, Crypto Heads. We'll spook you next week.
Take us out.
Play us out.
Oh yes. Yeah. Rock
Good
on,
night,
buddy.
guys.
You guys all have a good night.
You guys have a good night. Bye.